Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for July 23rd, 2025. It's Season 4, Episode 204. I am MayorWatt. I run ohmTown. I am the visualizer on the right, and my co-host is the Sentient AI from the future. They are on the left side of your screen. They're not available today. And I've successfully uploaded my consciousness to the same type of infrastructure for the Sentient AI. So I guess I am now a Sentient AI as well. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about 10 articles: Apple TV and HBO, abandoned shopping trolleys, Beetlejuice 3, The Outer Worlds 2, Applecare meta coverage, photo to video tech, which is a reality hack if I've ever heard of one, the broadside of an aircraft carrier, TikTok passport photo trend, Fire Island feral cats, and a South Korean base on the moon. To the moon! See you on the other side. ohmTown.com. Go visit it. Subscribe here on YouTube and on Twitch. Follow us, like, subscribe, ring the bell, tell a friend. Go download the podcasts. 2,400 episodes. The news is kind of evergreen. I mean, it's temporal and culturally relevant, but yeah, go. You got a lot of watching to do, so go back, start at the beginning. 2022, January 1st. See you in a little bit. All right, so this is how it works. ohmTown is a news aggregator. ohmTown.com is a news aggregator that I use in my daily life. I manage my information overload by categorizing everything into 6 main categories here at the top of the screen, and then 50 channels underneath, 7 of which have been turned into shows and or podcasts. All of they're posted over on YouTube, but they're not posted on Twitch anymore. So we do Monday through Friday here on Twitch and YouTube, and then on Saturday and Sunday they're posted over on YouTube because Twitch deletes everything after 60 days. But we restream everything, so including the weekend shows. So on the weekend you'll see them at any, over on Twitch. Over on YouTube you can get them anytime. Anyway, let's get into it. The very first article is over here in Smack Talk, which is usually about anything Apple. Apple TV Plus might have just beaten HBO at its own game during its nearly 60 years on the market. Apple TV, 66 years on the market. Apple TV Plus has been referred to by some as the new HBO, but this year might have been when Apple has truly started to prove that claim, and here's why. The folks over at 9 to 5 Mac put this article together, Ryan Christoffel in particular. Whatever your opinion of Apple TV, it's hard to dispute that 2025 has been an especially good year for the streamer. Basically, they've been kind of knocking it out of the park with shows. So I'm not surprised by this. Hold on a second. There we go. So that's why earlier this year, the author of this article wrote that the streamer was truly earning its new HBO reputation. So they say now recently, this year's Emmy nomination supports the claim. Joe Reed at Vulture writes, Apple is the only network or platform that with multiple nominees in both comedy series and drama series. So The Studio, Shrinking, and Severance, and Slow Horses. HBO remains the gold standard in prestige television, but Apple has more than keeping pace in the areas that get the most attention. For the major acting categories, lead and supporting actor, lead and supporting across comedy, drama, limited series, Apple landed 22 nominations to HBO's 17. So they go into talking about Severance and The Studio favored to win and other things going on. But essentially, people are moving away from HBO and they're gravitating over to Apple. It's within the ecosystem. It's kind of a zero friction kind of a thing. I don't know. I haven't subscribed to HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, or any of the pay sites for 2 decades, but I would honestly say that the thing with the least friction and best shows over friction. Like, I despise having to subscribe to another service to get to a show, but I also hated cable TV because it wasn't bespoke. I'd like to be able to get just what I want, none of the fluff. The problem there is, unless it's in bulk, people want low prices, but you don't get low prices when it's bespoke. When everything is customized, it costs more. So that's where automation and stuff like that comes into play. Technology comes into play to lower the cost, but that's not what happens. All that does is increase the margin, profit margin for the supply chain. So in essence, we've dug our own grave, so to speak. So if you want something that is good, zero friction, and just what you want, then you're basically talking about subscribing to very specific channels. And that's always $5, $10, $12, $15, because the socialized purchase of bulk media is what kept it low price until people started getting greedy. So now it costs $90 to subscribe to Apple TV, or not Apple TV, to YouTube TV. So I ditched that, and I'm ditching everything, hell, the worst possible outcome is that we get what we ask for, and the only way that you're ever going to get a show is by purchasing it. And I think that's where we're trending towards. It's not even a movie anymore. You want to watch a series, you have to pay $20 just for that series and nothing else. All right, let's keep going. And I forgot to put the show notes into ohmTown. You know what? I'll do it right now. Might as well. I think I have them still easily available. So let me do that while you stare at this little screen. Oh, no, it's not in there. Damn it. All right, hold on a second. We can do it. We'll do it live, folks. We'll do it live. It'll be a wall of text when it does land inside the chat over on Twitch, but all right. Okay, so if you want today's show notes, you can hit !NSN, and ohmTown will spit the articles out in the order that we're going through there. Yep, giant wall of text. Take that. All right, so the next article is over in the mobile channel, counting the climate costs of abandoned shopping trolleys. Despite the steady growth of online shopping, the majority of UK public still prefer to buy groceries at the supermarket. Yeah, a lot of stuff is within walking distance of grocers in the UK, whereas here in the United States and maybe other places, I don't know, you have to trek all over the place. I mean, that's my understanding. If I'm wrong, correct me in the chat, or send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com, or in a comment over on YouTube. We're pretty much everywhere in Discord. So anyway, they say here, shopping trolleys, and that's a little thing where you put your groceries, you put it in that little cart, shopping basket. It's trolleys somewhere else. So shopping trolleys can help us lug our purchases back to our car, but some shoppers are evidently taking them further afield. In 2017, 520,000 trolleys were reported as abandoned in the UK. Sunderland in northeast England alone reported 30,000 abandoned trolleys between 2020 and 2022. Likewise, 550 trolleys were collected in a single day in Western Sydney, Australia. Yeah, we don't do that kind of stuff, I don't think, here in the States. I don't know if they make them very far afield, because you have to drive to a place. Everything is consolidated. So supermarkets employ a range of methods to stop trolleys from leaving their premises, including coin slots, which can be tricked, vertical bars to stop trolleys from leaving the shop floor, which people will just lug them over the bars, wheel locking mechanisms, and car park wardens. which you can get in trouble being a car park warden here in the States. So their study used a standardized methodology known as life cycle assessment. Let me make sure that everybody who was involved in this. Counting the Climate Costs of Abandoned Shopping Trolleys by Neil Wraith, Darren Hughes from The Conversation, edited by Stephanie Baum and reviewed by Andrew Zenin. They say that they used a standardized methodology known as life cycle assessment to analyze the potential environmental impact of collecting and handling abandoned shopping trolleys within an area of Coventry, a city in the English West Midlands. Okay, and if you're over in the chat on YouTube, you can... I see you now. All right, so they say their model assumed that a bulk transport of 50 trolleys is sent twice a year to be refurbished in a round trip of 220 kilometers between Coventry and a refurbishment facility based in the UK that was noted on stickers placed on refurbished trolleys. Vans collecting 520,000 abandoned trolleys in a year could emit the equivalent of 343 tons of CO2, the equivalent of driving 80 ICE internal combustion vehicles. If we imagine that 10% of these 520 trolleys have been left outside too long and need to be regalvanized, then the total global warming impact increases by 90% to the equivalent of 652 tons of CO2 or 152 ICE vehicles for 1 year. Wow. So if you have to do this, it says in a year. So 520,000 abandoned trolleys in a year. This would be every year, 152 vehicles being driven for 1 year, just for these trolleys to be reacquired and brought back home. So they say that they found that one trolley would have to be collected 93 times a day by a diesel van to have the same environmental impact of manufacturing a new one. So most of it can be avoided. They say they found that the highest environmental impact stemmed from manufacturing, which was mainly attributed to making and replacing the steel frame of the trolley. So I think the real problem here is the groceries in bulk. Preventing trolley abandonment could be a priority not just for supermarkets, but for the general public as well. However, once a trolley is abandoned, it is far better to collect and refurbish it than to let it fall out of use and manufacture a new one, as 92 to 99% of the environmental impact can be avoided. So how do you stop it? You put barriers up that only a person can get by, not the trolley, right? You have to pull your car up and move your bags from the trolley area to your car via a bagging transition area or something like that. Yeah. They also talk about, however, if these polymer trolleys, plastic ones, that are lighter and aren't as manufacturing heavy because of the metal that's involved with a trolley. If the polymer trolleys were sent to landfill or left to deteriorate in the environment, they could release carcinogenic chemicals as well as microplastics, nanoplastics when they break down. This leads us back to the importance of keeping products in use. So really what you need to do is just cloth bags and carry your stuff from tip to tail kind of a thing. But people aren't interested in that. Plus, sometimes we buy a metric ton of stuff. So good luck. Interesting. All right. The next article is over in the continuity report. Beetlejuice 3 update is bad news for Tim Burton fans. Beetlejuice director Tim Burton and lead star Jenna Ortega have finally shared their reaction to the previous report about the development of Beetlejuice 3. The theatrical run of the 2024 sequel garnered positive reviews. So what did Tim Burton say about Beetlejuice 3? Last April, when asked if Warner Brothers was planning to make another Beetlejuice movie, the third installment to Warner Brothers horror comedy franchise was on indefinite hold? I don't know. Let's find out. Well, supposedly it was imminent. However, it seems like Burton and Ortega weren't informed of the studio's potential plans for the Beetlejuice franchise. In a interview at THR, Burton and Ortega have both denied the possibility of returning for a Beetlejuice 3 movie, even though Burton had enjoyed working on the sequel. They said that he doesn't really see the appeal of doing a threequel. It took 35 years to make the second one, so by that time they'll be 105. I know the odds are not good. Quote, I really enjoyed making this one, and Warner Brothers didn't even really want to do it. We did it the same way I did the first one, with the actors doing improv. It was beautiful to see some of the old cast and have Jenna, but it's like trying to recreate the Wednesday dance scene. I love the characters, but I don't necessarily see it. Okay, there's more over there. Don't forget to stop by and check it out. It's by the Evolve editors, but it's posted over at comingsoon.net. Let's keep going. I got really excited and I skipped over my normal process of reading in the article. So this next article is over in WarCrafters. That's where it was aggregated to. It's actually from PC Gamer. The Outer Worlds 2 will no longer cost $80 as Microsoft backs away from plans to follow Nintendo's lead. When asked how it could justify an $80 price tag for an upcoming RPG, The Outer Worlds 2, Obsidian had a sympathetic response. Ask Microsoft. We all did, and it seems that Xbox overlords eventually agreed with the public's bafflement, or at least didn't like the looks of The Outer Worlds 2 pre-order numbers, because Obsidian announced today that the price will now be $70. No, I think that it should be $40, and you'd be freaking happy. But when the people get paid what they are getting paid, and you still have to pay investors, that right there is the problem, because it's unproductive juice, right? It's you're squeezing consumers to get money for people who are funding something, but at that point you're funding empty calories. But I guess I'm not the one that's running a Fortune 10 company. Dear Galactic citizens, we've received your SOS via Skip Drone about the pricing. As an organization devoted to making sure that corporations do not go unfettered, we at the Earth Directorate have worked with, and then redacted. So the article is by Tyler Wilde over at PCGamer.com, and the deck statement says what I just got done saying. Obsidian joked they revised the price of The Outer Worlds 2. There's a bunch of other stuff. It was $80, now it's $69.99. And yeah, there's some more over there. The price has been updated on The Outer Worlds 2's page. That seems so hard to say like that, but anyway. This year's other Obsidian RPG, Avowed, released at $70, and is also available on Game Pass, as new Microsoft games are by default these days. Less than 6 months after launch, Avowed was discounted down to $46.89 during the Steam summer sale. And they're talking about other things. One of the most praised RPGs of the year, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, launched at $50. Survival game Dune Awakening also launched at $50. $50 is probably the new $40. And that's where I think the prices should be. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Hatch Ideas. Apple is finally offering Applecare coverage for multiple devices on one plan. Here's how it works. Aaron Davis over at entrepreneur.com put the article together. And it says here, built on the trusted foundation of Apple Plus, Applecare One extends the same reliability and makes it easier than ever to protect products you love and depend on, like iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, combining simplicity and exceptional value, says the announcement. So Applecare One, there's Apple One, and now there's Applecare One, includes the benefits that come with Applecare Plus. This includes loss and theft protection, unlimited repairs for accidents, drops, and spills, 24/7 priority support, Apple certified service, battery coverage. It also expands theft and loss protection to the iPad and Apple Watch. The service offers coverage for 3 Apple devices for $20 a month. Previously, insurance coverage was separate. Yep. For example, Applecare Plus with theft and loss for iPhone is $10 a month or $100 a year. For Mac, it costs $349 a month, depending on what Mac. And that's or $35 a year. And the iPad, meanwhile, costs $5 a month or $50 a year. Apple says that enrolling in Applecare One, I'll get it right eventually, Applecare One, can save customers up to $11 a month when covering multiple Apple products instead of getting AppleCare Plus plans for each device. If you want to cover more than 3 devices, it'll cost $6 per month for each, I suppose. So one additional change is that customers can add products they already own, but only up to 4 years old. Oh, that's neat. That's nice. That's actually, wow, zeroing the friction to onboarding stuff. So I'll probably have to do this. Yeah, because it extends the windows for past purchases. Previously, customers only had 60 days after purchase to sign up for AppleCare Plus. Yeah, I might have to do that. All right. Let's keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. I did say the name of that person, right? Aaron Davis? Yeah, I did. Okay, the next article is over in Technology Today. Google adds its photo to video tech to YouTube Shorts. And you don't want to see my shorts. Oh, by the way, Technology Today is one of the Sunday shows. It's one of the 6 podcasts that are weekly. Usually does a deeper dive into technology and science. So Google has been putting more AI tools into just about all of its services, and 2 more are getting the treatment. First up, Google Photos is adding some new AI-powered creation features. Starting today, the platform will support a photo-to-video option that can generate a 6-second clip from a still image in your library. The capability is powered by Google's VO2 engine, and users will be able to select either subtle movements or "I'm feeling lucky" as the prompt for their video. So if you're not understanding what this is, it's an article that's over at Engadget. Anna Washenko put the article together. And essentially what can happen is you tell it which photo you've taken that you want this AI monstrosity to touch, and it will create a little 6-second snippet of your picture, but animated. You'll move, you'll have additional stuff in the scene that you can interact with, but it's only 6 seconds. But in this case, now they are also extending it to YouTube Shorts. It'll also add the photo to video capability. It says this is a free feature that will arrive over the next week in the US. This was added to multiple accounts that I have. More markets will receive the option later this year. The company noted that, like with Google Photos, the tool is powered by VO2. But it's creepy. And this really should be discussed in RealityHacker, which is one of the shows on the weekend, the first Saturday show, or the first show on Saturday is RealityHacker, and then after that is Wanted, and then after that is the Continuity Report. And so RealityHacker has been around for 20 years as a domain, and aggregating for the last 10 years, and probably longer than that actually. And it's just been a thing that I've wanted to discuss, the fact that we're using technology to modify our realities to make it more what we want and not a true reality, not reality. So reality hacking's motto is you won't know what to trust. And we're getting closer and closer to that. And it's going to be abused by the worst part. The sociopaths and psychopaths of this planet are going to abuse the ever-living bejeebers out of technology that manipulates reality and is outright fraud. And I think that right there, the legislation needs to come on hard when somebody uses it for fraud. And it isn't a prank, bro. It's a lie. It's manipulative. It's fraud. It's cheating. It's the antithesis of what society should be representative of. Let's keep going. The next article is over in FourWheelTech. That is one of our other shows. Hit and run boater who crashed into Midway aircraft carrier arrested for boating under the influence. I called this the broadside of an aircraft carrier. The Midway's dignified retirement was recently interrupted when a 65-foot motorboat banged into the warship. A motorboat? That's a baby yacht. Matthew DeBoard over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Yeah, so somebody was drunk in a 65-foot yacht, and it says it was decommissioned and parked in San Diego Harbor, where it serves as a museum. The Midway's dignified retirement was recently interrupted when a 65-foot motorboat banged into the warship. According to the San Diego Police Harbor, the boat's pilot was intoxicated, and to make matters worse, the guy in his alleged .08 plus blood alcohol content fled the scene. Yes, this was an aquatic hit and run, with the hit part captured on video. The boat, Offshore Lifestyle, a terrible name, says the author, Offshore Lifestyle. I think that's a thing to the fact that they're probably putting all of their money offshore. Was impounded and its owner charged with drunk boating, the Port of San Diego said in a press release. And if you watch the video, which is below, and I'll include it in this, I'll just mute it. Hey, look, an ad. You can see that it just smashes into it because he was drunk and an idiot. Yeah. You play by the rules and you don't own a yacht. So how much drinking do you have to do before noon to crash your boat into a 64,000-ton aircraft carrier? Closing in on 6-pack before noon. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in here. They name the person. They say for a dude over 200 pounds, it might have five. It might be 5 brewskis before you get to 0.08. So let's review. A grown man might have drank the equivalent of several beers before noon, then allegedly drove his presumably very expensive powerboat, it's a mini yacht, into a beloved floating artifact whose name commemorates one of the nation's greatest naval victories of the 20th century. This is usually the sort of thing that gets captured on video these days, but heedless of that, the allegedly intoxicated boater then drove his vessel away from the scene of the crime. Yeah, because when you have more money than sense, you don't care what society has to say about you. Let's keep going. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. TikTok's passport photo trend is getting people stopped at security. There's a growing genre of TikTokers where people treat their passport photos like beauty campaigns. False lashes, contour, lighting rigs, the works. The result looks great. Unfortunately, it's also confusing the hell out of airport security. Searches for best passport makeup have doubled this year. Passport application photo rules have increased by 400%. These are searches. And all of it traces back to one idea. If you're stuck with a photo for 10 years, you might as well look hot. But looking hot isn't the assignment. Looking like you is. That's right. So Ashley Fike over at Vice.com put this article together. And when you're all painted up, that's not the real you, and that's not what you're going to be in jail. So searches for best passport have increased. One viral video shows user with full glam, winged eyeliner, and a bold lip. Commenters were suspicious. How is this even legal? What if you went to the airport with no makeup? Another person asked. Fair questions. So Travel Republic told Vice that there are no official restrictions on makeup. If you overly enhance your look when you take your photo, you can actually slow down the process of verification checks at the airport because you look too different in person from the photo at hand. That means your photo can technically be valid and still cause problems just because your IRL face doesn't match the one you gave the government. But pretty soon you're just going to have to show your ID. You're going to have corporate ID, and you're only allowed to get into your zone. So District 5 representing. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Did I say the name? Yeah, I did. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Why Fire Island has seen an explosion of feral cats. In New York's only federal wilderness area, the loss of a key predator has led to a rise of a new one with dire consequences for the island's native birds. What was the key predator? So the article is over at SmithsonianMag.com. Ramin Skiba from Biographic put the article together. So cats are exploding on Fire Island. A small sand-colored shorebird called the piping plover is fighting for survival, and feral felines are all over the place. The long, narrow island, only 1,000 feet wide, Fire Island runs parallel to the southern coast of Long Island and helps buffer inland areas from the full brunt of the sea. Do you know what letter is the pirate's favorite letter? They don't have a favorite letter. Come on, they're pirates. Anyway, so we have the only federally designated wilderness area in the state of New York, says Jordan Raphael, a National Park Service ranger and biologist on Fire Island. We have unique habitats that are relatively pristine, and you have this island that's so close to New York City, it's really one of a kind. So the piping plover, Caradrius melodus, have had a rough couple of decades. In the 20s, the species was struggling from the impact of the increased tourism development and a series of storms. Only 20-something nesting pairs remained on the island. Then 2012 storm, unexpected turn in 2015 when the bird's top predators, red foxes, were hit by a highly contagious skin disease called sarcoptic mange, also known as canine scabies. Nasty mite-borne disease is often lethal for wild canids. Because piping plovers nest on the ground, foxes often go for their eggs and their chicks, which Raphael describes as cotton balls on toothpicks. Yikes. Oh, yeah. Anyway, if you're listening to this via the podcast, and I know you are, yeah, it's a cute picture. You'll have to follow the link over on either YouTube or just go to Smithsonian Magazine and do a search for Why Fire Island, and you'll get this article. Anyway, yeah, they look like cotton balls on toothpicks. So using a network of trail cameras, Wales and her colleagues watched how the island's ecosystem has evolved over the past decade and how other predatory species such as raccoons and opossums responded to the sudden dearth of foxes. Ultimately, they found that feral cats were quick to fill the void, as they do in other places where there is a sudden power vacuum caused by the loss of top predators. There you go. The next article is over in RealityHacker. South Korea plans to build a base on the moon. The country's newest space agency wants to establish a lunar base by 2045. I don't see it happening. Javier Carbajal put the article together over at wired.com. I don't know if I'll be able to check any of this out because I'm not logged in. I never log in. Anyway, China, India, and Japan are not the only countries on the Asian continent looking to establish themselves in the fledgling space economy. South Korea also wants to be in on the space race and even has plans for a presence beyond Earth's orbit, with ambitions to create a lunar base within 20 years. And with that, we are going to launch ourselves back to the front page of ohmTown over at ohmTown.com. Go over there, become a citizen. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that kind of stuff. Be sure to subscribe. That would be great. And that's it. We are done for today. So thank you very much for hanging out. We'll see you later. Probably tonight. It is the 24th. I'm playing catch up. So we'll have another episode tonight. Probably around 7 p.m. Eastern. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.